to try and get the right size hose clamps for this thing. You can see like this one, it spins around. It's not really, it's a little bit too big, just a little bit. So I need to get ones that are just slightly smaller. I made several orders. I've ordered hose clamps like 4 times trying to get the right size, trying to find something that will fit on there. So I'm still waiting on my like 5th order of hose clamps to try and get something that will work. So what this means, it's bad news for our brakes getting done today, because there's no way I can get fluid into this guy until I've got the right size hose clamps. But we've still got, you know, some work to do. I've got the lines to run, and the lines are going to be custom and stuff I've never used before. I want to use 3AN fittings, which are kind of fancy fittings that I've seen only on race cars before. Yeah, these guys here are our little 3AN fittings used for fuel lines a lot. You see them like in Hot Rod magazine, fuel lines. We've got this an assortment of other 3AN fittings, a little T fitting, and a lot of you guys commented, well, a couple of you guys commented on my plans for how to run the brake lines, what would be the cleanest way and the neatest way and all that sort of stuff. And I really appreciate that. I actually did change my plans a little bit. And one person said the magic words, "That's what race bikes do." And then I went, huh, what do race bikes do? And I started looking stuff up, and that's where I came up with this idea. And I was like, oh, that's a nice, clean way of doing it. It looked nice and clean, and it's what race bikes do. So that's what we're doing on this bike. So I'm going to try to fit this guy on the front of our bike on this existing mount right here. We may put a little spacer in there or something. A little spacer option here. Yeah, I think this would be good right there. So this is the general concept, which is line coming from our master cylinder right here down to this junction point. Then off of this, we'll have it tees off, and you've got a line running to the brake on the left and a line running down to the brake on the right. And so this offers a couple of different advantages, and you could also say disadvantages, which is that you have multiple sections of brake line. So you have a brake line here between the master cylinder and this T here, and if there's an issue with this section, which for me, as I'm building this custom sort of bike here, one of my issues is that I might want to make this longer. If I raise the handlebars up, whatever, and I need to adjust this for any reason, I can just adjust this one little section here. There's a disadvantage. Now I have a lot of points at which it could leak. I could leak it every time I connect one of these hoses here. It could leak at that point. There are multiple ways that you can run brake lines on a bike. I'm going to put up a picture that I found on the internet that shows it really nicely. It's also conveniently doubles as an attachment point for the brake line so that they're not flopping around. It also makes the lines, running the lines down a lot cleaner. My original plan involved having 2 banjo connections on this one caliper and running a line down to this caliper and then a line from this caliper up over the fender to the other caliper. For me, the advantage of doing it with this T-junction is that it will visually only have one line running to each caliper, and it should make it look cleaner. All right, so let's see if we can actually run some line, what that will look like. So this is going on our caliper on the bottom. So the master cylinder, I'm thinking like this guy here. All right, so yeah, our connection to on the master cylinder is down here. Oh, and that threads in so nice. All right, so there's our connection there, and I may swap this around because now currently it comes and bends a little bit that way, where I may swap it so it bends this way towards this guy over here. All right, then we've also got our little connection down here on the caliper, which should be something like that. All right, so now it's just a matter of running a line where we run some line from this guy down to that guy, just as simple as that. But this one, like I said, my ultimate plan is to raise these handlebars up. I would like to get a longer throttle at some point. I'd like to account for that in this, how long I make this line. So I'm gonna make it longer than it seemingly needs to be up here. The cool part about this little section here is that this doesn't move at all. Like it's all on rigid spots where once you've got your handlebars set up, like this line isn't gonna be flexing at all. Whereas the lines on the bottom, as the suspension travels, the lines are gonna have to move a little bit. I mean, I could make a hard line through here if I were creative enough. Let's take this section off here and start there. This guy should come apart. Should be able to undo this, and inside, got these little ferrules. This one happens to be an aluminum one, but I've got, these guys have got, the same thing happens over here, and then we've got brass ones. So it comes apart, our little line goes in and gets squishes this ferrule and everything. And that is kind of what is supposed to make a liquid tight seal. So we'll see. We'll see if we can do that. Come on, man. Crap, this should go on. What the heck? This one will not fit on the hose. It's like the little rubber coating on here is just enough to make it too big to, because this should go on and have a little bit of friction, but I should just be able to stick this on here and slide it down, like without really that much hassle. But I can't even get these things like started on there. They run into this coating and then they're done. I'm gonna see if I can like get that coating off of there. See if that makes any difference. Yeah, and then I'm supposed to get this little ferrule down in. Well, shoot, this looked simple and easy on the internet, looking at other people doing it. But yeah, I don't really like how this is turning out. Yeah, you can see there are these multiple components involved here. We've got the outer cover here. We've got the stainless steel braiding, and then we've got the inside tube on the inside. And this little guy is supposed to go over this tube like so. I want to see if I can cut this in a little bit neater way. Alright, that was a little bit neater. Now in theory, all right, I finally got it, the ferrule seated in there, because it's got to come all the way up through, like the little PTFE tube on the inside has to come all the way up to the top of this ferrule on the inside here. And I've accomplished that, but now I'm afraid that once I actually tighten this stuff down, that like I'm going to be showing this braided line at the bottom. Yeah, see, we got braided lines showing down there. All right, so in theory, this gets threaded onto here, and I'm pretty sure this probably requires like some Teflon tape or something. But like right now, we're just fitting things up. So that would go on there like so, and this up here. And yeah, I mean, if this is where I was keeping my handlebars, this would be a nice short hose, just like that. Put it something like that, and maybe later on we'll actually end up making a whole nother hose. We'll see. All right, wish me the luck. All right, so this is like significantly longer, I believe, than I'm ultimately ever gonna need it to be. I mean, we may end up, once I get the handlebars, once I get my throttle cables to the right length, and once we end up with the handlebars where I would ultimately like them to be, I may end up shortening this thing. Getting the ferrule set is kind of the hard part. And it's hard because I can't push this other component down very far. If I could do that, this should not be too bad. It almost needs to be tightened down on the bike. Huh. All right, so this is my brake hose. Hoop-de-doodle brake hose. And I was trying to be fancy here by getting some nice higher end components, you know, stainless. This whole 3AN thing is like pretty fancy, I think. But the execution, not so great. I feel like there's a secret here that I'm not aware of. I'm close though, I'm very close, but there's something I don't know. But yeah, it's quite a bit longer than I need it to be. But yeah, let's go ahead and tighten this down. Yeah, again, I can see the braided line poking out here, which I'm not a fan of, but so that's there. You can see a little bit of that stainless steel braided line there. And again down there, same thing. All right, I've got the next one hooked up, and this one is a little bit better. You can just barely see the braided hose below this. So I mean that almost looks nice. I'm gonna go ahead and hook this one up, and we'll run it to this brake line over here, and then that's probably all I'm gonna get done today because I still need the other fitting. I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. All right, so I'm trying to solve at the moment is when this compresses, it's gonna compress this area here, or whatever, right? And so this is going to, the wheel's gonna travel up, the hose is also going to travel up. And so I'm trying to plan for that. What I don't want is for this hose to come over and come into contact with the wheel. I've taken this guy off of the stock line. It's a little rubber protective holder there. And I'm gonna zip tie this thing to the side of the fork here, which will prevent this thing from going into the tire. It's maybe temporary. I am planning on getting a fender for this guy and putting a custom fender on here. I should be able to make an attachment point onto the actual fender at that point. And with that secured up there, then it just leaves us with the line down here. The wheel should be at full extension right now, so this should be as long as this needs to be to hit this, and then once the bike's on the ground and the suspension is compressed, this will move up like that a bit. All right, I've got this guy on here started as best I can. Attach it to the caliper. Then I'm having my doubts about this setup at this point, because I'm just like imagining this just blowing right out. I'm definitely not happy with this whole coated brake line situation. But yeah, this is one of those you don't know until you try situations. I could be overly cautious. I mean, that definitely happens sometimes. I could also not know what I'm doing, and as a result, be making mistakes. That also happens a lot. So, but it's all part of learning. And I definitely would like to further refine this. This thing is so long. I'm gonna go ahead and set these handlebars up sort of as high as they'll go. And then I'm gonna adjust this line to that. That potential, because it's driving me crazy how long this is. I'll go ahead and loosen this thing's fitting first. And we'll take this off. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it right there. So I had it like 3-4 inches too long there. All right, so that is the longest it will ever possibly be, is something like that. With that established, I'm now gonna lower this back down and put our throttle cable and everything back on there. Then I'm gonna go ahead and actually put my little crush washers on here. Get that sorted. A little copper crush washers, get those on. All right, I feel like we're headed somewhere. So here's our brake line. I'll move this out a little bit away from this so it doesn't rub. Like that. That looks pretty nice. All right, so that looks a lot better now than it did before. That line up top there and a line on the bottom doesn't look too bad, really. So that's it for today. I'm going to, once I get this other fitting in, we'll go ahead and get that done tomorrow. Get the other side done tomorrow. And then I also need to get the little hose clamp for this guy, and then we'll put some fluid in it. And then we'll have something going on up here.